Let's get it. Wow. Really? Yeah! Hustle of the day. Yeah.
You have now entered the Airforce Mills Show.
Yo, this is the Airforce Mills Show, and I'm with my co-host.
This is Blacksmith. How y'all doing today?
What up, what up? You doing all right, sir?
Oh, yeah, doing real good, man.
All right, good. Today's show is going to be relationships.
Oh, man, okay.
So this is going to be a real good show. I mean, this is pretty much designed for people in relationships to make their relationship better, or little helpful advice, or people that don't have anybody that want somebody.
Okay. I mean, that's definitely something that everybody can use at some point in their life. So it sounds like it's going to be a good topic.
Yeah. So, but y'all excuse Blacksmith's voice because he's a little under the weather today. But
I'm here.
He's here. He's a ride or die soldier.
I'm here.
You know what I'm saying?
I'm here.
He's
so
ride or die.
We're going to make it through. We're going to make it through.
So before we get started, we're gonna pay some bills. Our sponsors today is, of course, Blacksmith Investment Group, where we're overachieving under pressure, and Mills Investment Group, where we're changing the world one piece at a time. All right, so we're gonna get into the talk right away. Relationships. So first part of relationship, we're gonna talk about meeting someone. So that's it. This is for, of course, people that's single that don't have anybody, right? So, you want to meet someone, okay? So you got to make yourself available. If you want to meet somebody, well, I know some of you tried the online dating thing, and a lot of my buddies had, good and bad mixed results for that. What do you think about the online dating?
Online scares me. I'm not gonna lie. I'm a traditional kind of person when it comes to meeting people. I mean, I'd rather, I prefer face-to-face meeting.
Well, you used to prefer it because you engaged now.
Well, right? Of course, yeah. That's a different. I mean, speaking from when I was single, right? I'm no longer searching. But as far as meeting people, I like, for example, I met my fiance when I was at work, and she was, we met each other at that point. So it was, face to face, and just the interaction and meeting, getting a chance to see a person and see how they interact with you physically. Online, I mean, of course, there's a place for that. I mean, I'm sure, there's been plenty of opportunities and success stories about individuals that met online. But, whatever you feel comfortable with, or whatever whatever puts you in a situation where you feel comfortable, that's what I recommend that you do. But the key is to make yourself available. People have to know that you are in a position to want to engage in some sort of interaction. So that's very important.
So basically making yourself available though. I mean, what do you recommend? You recommend like grocery stores? Do you recommend?
Whatever. In my experience, whatever your normal routine is. If you're at a grocery store, and someone is, let's say, someone that you see there that may be attractive, you have to put yourself in a situation where a conversation can be created. If you are in school, or taking classes, you have to put yourself in situations where you can engage people where they are, where you are. I wouldn't recommend going out of your way, doing stuff that you're not comfortable doing to try to find somebody. Whatever you currently are doing, you need to engage those individuals where you currently are in things that you're currently involved in, because usually that's the common thing that you guys will have in common in order to be able to start in some sort of relationship.
And, making yourself available, sometimes, let's say, for example, you go to a grocery store, right? Mm-hmm. And you see the person that you want to talk to. Mm-hmm. A lot of people are nervous. Guys or women, you're nervous to talk to them. Matter of fact, I like to read books. A good book, that matter of fact, I told you about, How to Talk to Anyone.
Yeah.
That's a great book.
It is.
Because it teaches you how to make yourself approachable and how to approach strangers.
That's right. Well, talking to strangers is not easy anyway. A lot of people feel self-conscious about that initial conversation because you don't know exactly what to say. You don't know if you're going to get rejected or not. So there's
say
this
the wrong thing.
Yeah, so there's a lot of apprehension there. So, but at the same time, ultimately you're going to have to overcome that and initiate somehow. Guys are usually more, they've already settled within themselves that they're going to have to, in most cases, be the one to initiate those type of communications. So we've already determined within ourselves that we're going to have to initiate in some cases. But women, I mean, this is the 21st century. You're seeing a lot of changes in social dynamics where you have a lot more aggressive women now that are coming forward and actually putting themselves out there. Which, I mean, to me, I think it's a good thing, because it lets, and I know it would let me know that there are women out here that really know what they're looking for and are willing to take that step of faith in order to get what they want. So that's important to me. I mean, every guy is different, but I would think of it as a compliment if a woman would approach me and say, "Hey, look, I think you look nice," or "I think you look like somebody that I would be interested in getting to know a little bit better." I'd be like, "Oh man,
that'll make your day."
Hey, boy, look, that would make my year. But at the same time, most of the time, it's going to be the gentlemen that do that. I would just hope that women would be more receptive, and not to say that you have to accept every proposition because I'm sure there are women out here, they get talked to 10 times a day. Yeah. So it's impossible for you to engage on a real substantive level with every person that you come in contact with. But for those individuals that you do see some potential, be willing to open up a little bit. I'm not saying put yourself all the way out there, but hey, if a gentleman asks you for a phone number, be receptive to that and say, "Hey, look, let's go have coffee or something and see if it takes you anywhere." It may not, but at least you're in a position that you're receptive and not just turning down every guy that comes up because you just feel like they a bugaboo or something like that.
Well, what I think about the don't settle, I got a thing called don't settle when I was single.
Yeah.
But let's say, for example, if you see that perfect 10 and in your mind you're a 5.
Right.
Well, a lot of times the 5 is intimidated to talk to the 10. But what I believe is that whatever you want, that's what you go out and get.
Sure.
I mean, it doesn't matter what rating you think you are. It matters what you want.
True. Yeah,
so,
but
I mean, and then at the same time, it's backwards because some of those perfect 10s you think that's getting hit on all the time. Most of the guys are intimidated. They're not even talking to the pretty girls.
That's right.
I've met friends of mine that were gorgeous. And they say guys are always intimidated. They'll look at them, cut their eye at them to let them know that they're
like
interested.
What they see.
They like what they see,
right.
But the guy's still intimidated because they look so gorgeous.
Yeah, I mean it's a double-edged sword when you're a 10. When you're good looking because look,
we wouldn't know nothing about that.
No, I don't know nothing about that. But for those that are attractive and things of that nature, it's a double-edged sword because you do have the benefits of people are gawking after you all the time, but at the same time,
correct.
You get the stigma kind of because it's like, oh, I can't talk to her. She looks too good. So now you're caught between a rock and a hard place. But the same, hey, you have to deal with whatever cards you're dealt with. You got to deal with that. But yeah, I mean, especially women. A lot of times you think an attractive woman could be stuck up, so you don't want to even. Why go in that direction? Because oh man, she her nose, she's stuck all up in the ass. She's not she's not gonna be interested in me.
Yeah, and don't do that. I don't mean to cut you off.
Yeah,
do not
assume.
come to conclusion and assume.
Yeah.
That's about anything in life.
Exactly.
Not even just to talk to anybody, but just
You'll be
assumptions.
surprised.
Because people always think, let's say for example, you feel like your boss was mean today.
Right.
But your boss could have had a death in the family or something that happened on their end and you not know and you think it's all about you. Oh, my boss just don't like me. She's just being mean. He's being a butthole or whatever. And because people take everything too personal.
That's true. That's true.
And so the same thing, we're making assumptions by seeing a pretty woman or that good looking guy. You're making an assumption, or he wouldn't want to talk to me. She wouldn't want to talk to me. You don't know that.
You don't know that.
You don't know that until you try.
And that's the thing. You have to be willing to put yourself in. You have to put yourself in a situation where you're going to have to step out there.
Yeah, you got to be in the path.
You gotta. You can't avoid that. There's going to be some uncomfortableness. But in my experience, the best way to break the ice is to introduce yourself with confidence and provide some compliment. You have to say, hey, I saw you cross the room and I really like your hair, or something that's going to jumpstart the conversation. Usually I'll go from a position of, hey, where are you from? Where, what do you do type of thing. Those are usually the general things. The
general go-to.
Yeah, your go-tos like, hey, start off with a nice, a nice, confident introduction. Hi, my name is so-and-so. What's your name? I saw you cross the room and I thought that, you had the most beautiful eyes or hair or whatever it is that you like. Yeah. And that's going to get a response. Yeah. At that point, you can kind of feel which direction to go from. They say, well, are you from Houston? Where are you from? Where'd you go to high school? Those types of things. And hopefully you'll find, the key is to find something that you have in common with this person as soon as possible. Once you have that, then you're off to the races. But until then, you're going to be kind of in no man's land because you don't know this person, but you want to engage them. But if you can find something that you have in common, the one thing that you can always go to is the place that you are. If you're at a store, or if you're at a church, or if you're at a gym, say, hey, look, do you come here often? Is this the place that you come to all the time? Well, yeah, or no, or whatever. No, this is my first time coming here. I was like, oh, okay. Well, man, was that you have to take where you are and use that in order to find something in common, so that way you can kind of branch out and hopefully, get some type of positive response and hopefully make a connection.
A lot of times, what I used to use back in the day.
Come on, yeah.
Women, they love shoes and bags. Most women love shoes and bags,
no
correct?
Question.
I guarantee you comment a woman's shoes or her bag, that's going to put you ahead of everybody, because I know for a fact no guy commented on their shoes and bag that day. Yeah. So she's gonna remember you. Oh, he noticed my shoes. He noticed his bag.
That's important. But what I used to do, I used to compliment women's walk.
Yeah, the walk.
And they don't expect that.
No, they don't expect that.
It's like, what does he mean, my walk?
What do you mean?
Because the first thing they're gonna do is when they get home, they're gonna go into the mirror and they're gonna start walking. It's like, what in the world does he see?
Yeah.
Well, if you know me, you know.
if you tell him,
girl, I saw you walk across that room, and
so
I just couldn't keep my eyes off of you, and they were like, oh my God, So that's the thing that would just turn their whole frown. If they were frowning or had a bad day or something, like, girl, you was walking across that room. Yeah. What? Yeah.
Confident walk.
Yeah. It's important. But
it's funny you said about the breaking the ice.
Yeah.
So the next topic, we get into is the dating. Mm-hmm. The dating, that's when you showcase who you are.
True.
So that first date is very important. You get your nice little restaurant, candlelight restaurant or whatever. I suggest not go to the movies. First date, some people
that's the worst thing.
That's the worst thing, because you cannot communicate. You can't see each other's face. Can't see each other's facial expression.
You're not going to learn anything about that person at a movie.
At all at the movie, because you're going to be so involved into the movie. Y'all attention is not going to be focused on the person that you came to see. Yeah. So on dates, so far as in dating, I mean, what I would do...
The first date.
Well, the first date. The very first date, don't have it about you. What I like to do is I like to always ask questions about her.
Sure.
You know, everything about her, find out where she's from, what she like. But once I find out what she likes, whether it be hobbies or whatever, I would focus the main conversation on that, on something she likes.
Of course.
So once you focus on something that she likes, you know, she's smiling, she's talking about it, and just get more in depth. Once you get more in depth, then the connection is already established. Now, if you mess that up, it's a problem. Same way as women and men. They were the same thing. If you're a woman and you're trying to get to know this guy and impress this guy, ask him about himself. A lot of times, you know, guys sometimes we can be egotistic. We may want to talk about ourselves. But whoever you are, if you're a guy or girl listening to the podcast, talk about them first. Ask about them. Inquire about them. You have all night to talk about yourself. Right.
You'll be surprised. You'll come in contact with people and you think you have an idea of what a person has experienced or gone through. You ask the right questions. There are some very interesting people out here that have gone through some things that you couldn't believe. Let's say, for example, if you've never went skydiving, this man might say, yeah, I went skydiving, or I went on a helicopter ride, or I did this, there's so many different things that people have gone through and experienced. You got some people that have PhDs, you got some people that have worked at law firms and all kind of different experiences and different things in life. But if you don't ask the questions, you'll never know. So it's important when you go, especially on first dates, you have to be prepared to want to learn more about that other person, but also when they ask you questions, be honest. Everybody's so busy trying to put on their best foot forward, trying to look a certain way, be a certain way.
Be you.
Yeah, be yourself. And be honest, because at the end of the day, you want to be able to walk away, because you never get a second chance to make a first impression. So you're going to want to try to establish, people know usually after that first date if it's going to go anywhere or not. Usually you can find out pretty quick within the first 30 minutes if this is going to go somewhere. Yeah. But after that first date, you're going to have to make an assessment as to whether you're going to go on a second date. Is this someone that I can see as a friend? Is this someone that I can see maybe as involved in some sort of closer, more intimate relationship? So you're going to have to start answering some questions and be prepared to be honest. Just be honest. If it's something, if you see it, yes, I can see it moving forward, or no, I think you're a nice guy, or I think you're a nice girl, but, I see us more as friends than I do as being more intimate. Those are the types of dialogues you have to be prepared to have. But a lot of times we get scared because we don't want to insult anyone or make them feel bad. But you got to think about, hey, man, this is my life. I have to be able to be happy. Why am I going to engage in this relationship if I know that it's not what I want? So that would be my opinion. That first date, it's information gathering. You have to get as much information as you can so you can make an informed decision about your future prospects, whether it be taking this friendship or taking this situation and making it a more friendship direction or more intimate, more relationship direction.
And you said experiences, life experiences, right?
Yeah.
So after you have the first date, you got the information gathering, right? So now you got your second, third date. Now you guys are starting to date. I call it the build-up phase.
Yes.
So this phase, that's when you focus on the new life experience, do the skydiving, hot air ballooning, anything you want to do. But one thing in the build-up phase, what people need to understand in a long-lasting relationship, okay, is the give.
Yeah.
So you have to have compromise as one, and then you need to put yourself in that other person's shoes, and especially when you get into the marriage phase. That's for our viewers that we're gonna get more in depth in a minute about if for our married viewers, and you take it to the whole another level.
Right.
But in the build up phase, you still have to put yourself in the other person's shoes.
Right.
Because you need to know, you need to have some type of discretion, compassion, you know, I mean, what do you think about that? Consideration, yeah. So,
Well,
what do you think about that?
Well, to me, I feel like when you're first getting into a serious, for lack of a better term, boyfriend girlfriend relationship, you're never gonna know you're not gonna know what type or how serious your relationship is until you deal with conflict and how your mate deals with conflict, because you guys, for the most part, in most cases, you haven't had a disagreement or a fight. You haven't had that yet.
You're in a butterfly
So
phase.
now, when you get a chance to see how a person deals with conflict, you may not like it. No. You might be totally and completely surprised. You might have a psychopath on your hands because you haven't experienced. All you've seen is like you say, the butterflies, the honeymoon, quote unquote, phase, and just everything has been sweet. But now you're faced with a situation where, oh my God, this guy, he just went off on me. He cussed me out. He's never used that type of language with me before, and it's because of this. So now you have to be able to determine how do you overcome the conflict so you can keep moving forward, or this is not going to work. So conflict is very important, and being able to resolve those things. You know, when you start talking about making concessions and compromises, and because there's going to be situations where you're going to want things to go a certain way and they're going to want things to go in a different way. You have to find ways to meet somewhere in the middle. Excuse me. Meet somewhere in the middle so that both parties can feel good about future prospects, because if you always feel like you're giving in, you're going to get exhausted with that, after a while. And the other person's going to feel spoiled, like they can just get away with the work. They're going to be able to feel like they can get away with everything. And they're never going to feel like they have any consequences to their actions. So it's important to recognize where the situation's getting kind of hairy or getting kind of tough, but also be willing to meet someone halfway and resolve those issues as adult-like as possible.
If, let's say, for example, our married couples out there, we address singles, we address people talking to each other, getting that first impression. So for our married listeners out there, how can or what can they do if they have a problem in marriage to fix it?
Well, in my experience, I'm gonna be honest with you. I've never been married, but I'm engaged right now, and I've been in a serious relationship for about 10 years. So you can say we've been in longer relationships than some married folks. Okay. But
I've been married for a long time.
Well,
I can speak on this.
Exactly.
Yeah, for y'all that don't know, I was married. I was with my wife for 23 years.
Yes, sir.
So I am the subject matter expert on relationship.
Yeah. But as far as, in my experience, married or not married, dealing with issues, communication has to be paramount in that, and honest communication, dialogue, and not feel like, you can't feel like you can't be open about how you really feel about a particular issue without, you're not trying. And hopefully you can communicate in such a way that you're not demeaning the other person or you're not hurting them. You just want to express to them how you feel about something so they can understand where you're coming from.
Basically what Blacksmith is saying, don't be scared to quote unquote nag. You can label it being nagging, but you're just speaking your mind.
Right.
Now, if you're going to talk about the negative, talk about the positive as well.
That's true. That's true.
Don't get mad about the dishes. And that's another thing. I know I'm swaying a little bit off topic, but I believe, that all human beings are kings and queens. I've talked about this before in the last podcast.
Right.
And so if you're a king or a queen, why would you be arguing about dirty dishes in the sink?
Right.
If you're a king or a queen, why would you argue about anything that's petty?
Right.
So when you look at that aspect, don't harp on the petty stuff. Now if somebody that said, for example, they leave dirty clothes on the floor, which is petty, but you got the right to say, okay, well, I like my house clean, don't leave dirty clothes on the floor. But at the same time, don't harp on it. Once you address it, move on and forget about it. In a lot of relationships, they harp on it because it's so many things. They focus on the negative, right? Let's say, for example, give you an example. You're dating somebody for the past 3 months, right?
Right.
And you talked about how their hygiene is not clean, okay? That's addressed to that. When I mean hygiene, I'm talking about, clothes on the floor. I'm not talking about personal body odor, personal hygiene. No. Don't get it twisted.
Oh, I hope not. Okay, go ahead.
So, that's a problem with that. Yeah, that's when you draw the line and say, I don't think it's gonna work out. So
relationship is over.
Yeah. So basically, don't harp on it. I mean, but that's like I say, back to the example. You're in a relationship for 3 months, getting on her or him for the clothes. If I'm talking about you, her, getting on her about maybe she using foul language. You don't believe in using foul language. Maybe she drinks too much. Maybe it's a whole lot of things. Now, you can let her know what you don't approve with, all those things, but don't harp on it. Now, if it becomes to a point where her drinking is getting out of control, where she's using bodily harm to herself, whether it be going to jail, tickets, and rearranging y'all lifestyle is one thing.
Right.
But just by you don't drink, like I don't drink, you don't drink, and she drinks,
right,
and she acts a little silly when she drinks, just, you could tell her how you feel about it, but at the same time, don't conform her to try to make her stop drinking just because you don't drink.
And see, that's where a lot of people in relationships get things wrong because they want to change their spouse or their significant other.
Exactly.
You made a decision to get involved with this person as they were. And whoever they were when you met them,
they are still that person.
They are that person. So for you to now all of a sudden want to change them, the problem is not them. The problem is your expectation of them. Because you want them to, hey,
look a certain way.
Act a certain way, be this, be that.
Career a certain way. Yeah.
If you feel that strongly about them and if you always got something to say as far as trying to correct them and correct this and correct that, you need to change this, you need to change that. There's something going on with your expectations, not them, because they are being who they are. You need to, at that point, determine if this is somebody that you want to continue to be with, because your expectations are not going to get met. And if you're good with that, then be good with that. If not, then you need to make a change as far as your relationship situation, because you're going to drive yourself crazy. They're going to continue to be who they are and who they've been all this whole time. So you got to make better decisions as to who's going to be compatible with what you like and what you don't like.
2 things I can tell you. If you're not listening, I mean, if you didn't listen to hardly anything we talked about on this podcast about relationships, I'm going to give y'all the nuggets. Like I'm always giving y'all the truth.
Right.
2 things that you need to help your relationship or to have a successful relationship. If you have a pen and pad, get your pen and pad together.
Press pause.
If
you need to go get it.
If you need to go get it. You can't remember these 2 things.
Yeah.
Okay. Number 1, only you can make yourself happy.
That's right.
Nobody else can make you happy. So if you say, "Oh, he doesn't make me happy, so I have to leave," or she doesn't make me happy, no. You have to make yourself happy. Once you make yourself happy, then you can make others around you happy. That's number 1.
Right.
Somebody cannot, your happiness is on you. That's number 1, whether you believe it or not. That's number 1. Write that down.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Number 2 is like Blacksmith just told you. You can't change anyone.
No.
So understanding you can't change anyone, you should be focused on making them better.
Right. But you make them better by being being a better example yourself.
Exactly.
You can't have an expectation of change for someone else when you're not being the better version of yourself.
Y'all grow together.
Grow together.
So the most important thing is that, like, you can't change the person.
Right.
Okay? Y'all grow together.
The one thing that kills me, and I'm sure you know examples of this, and I know. Look, you always have a friend that tries to turn a hoe into a housewife, and I don't, excuse my language, but you meet a girl at a strip club, and she's working there or she's there, and she's beautiful and she's all this and all that, and you meet and you all of a sudden want to make her your girlfriend and marry her and things of that nature. Then when you get married and she's still going to the strip club and you like, I want you to come home and cook dinner and do you met her there. She was doing that when you met her, and now all of a sudden you want her to stop and do this. No, she's happy where she is, where you met her. She's happy there. So you can't make these demands on people when you met them. Now, if she makes a decision on her own that this is something she wants to put behind her, then more power to her.
But let her make
that decision. You know, or let me give you another example where you have you have a female who meets a guy and he's unemployed. He's been a freeloader his whole life. You know, he's living with his whoever, parents. You know, and when you met him, that's what he was doing. And so now all of a sudden you mad because now he's living with you. And he don't have no job. He watches soap operas all day, playing Maury Povich and video games all day. And then you come home, ain't no dinner cooked, ain't nothing, ain't no clothes washed. He's not helping you at least with the house chores. But guess what? That's what you met him that way. So you can't change, you can't expect or place a demand on a person to do something that they weren't doing when you met them.
Correct.
That's important. I wanted to give examples on both sides because, hey, you're gonna encounter, like I said, you're gonna encounter a lot of people, and like I said, they've had experiences, things happen. You know, you'll be surprised some of the things that people have dealt with and gone through, and it may be certain reasons why people are in the situation that they're in. Some people have gone through divorce and their financial situation has been out of whack for a year or two, and they're putting themselves back together. They've had to go through some sort of bankruptcy or some sort of thing. You never know. But it's important to find those things out so you can make an informed decision. So that's all we're saying. Don't. I'm not saying every person that's living with they mama is a bad guy or a freeloader. Sometimes they just need a moment to get back on their feet. And every woman that you meet that's at the strip club, they might be paying their way through the doctorate program at school. So you never know, but you got to find those things out so you can say, hey, this is important. This person is important. I think they're gonna be okay. I can move forward with them.
Well, we talked about relationships. Okay, we talked about single people. We talked about married people. Now let's talk about the divorcees. All right, now we can make a whole show on divorcees.
Sure.
I mean, what do you feel needs to be, I guess, the emotional state on both parents? Let's say, for example, kids are involved. Young kids are involved. Now, you always see once they get divorced, they're after each other's throat.
Sure.
Okay, they're going after each other's throat. They're arguing in front of the kids.
Sure.
They're trying to do tick for tack. They're trying to keep the kids away from, one another. But when you guys were married, you were all in love.
That's
so
right.
now you divorce, and all of a sudden you're worst enemies. You're going after each other's throat. And I know a lot of times it's because you're hurt.
Yeah.
It's a lot of emotion involved in it. But I suggest being cordial at least for the kids' sake. Okay. And then you need to understand the past. When you guys went through a divorce and you're looking at your ex-husband, ex-wife, understand that was the mother or father of your child.
Period.
Understand y'all had some good times together.
That's right.
Remember the butterfly phase.
Yeah.
So remember you loved that person. You used to love that person. You know, you still love that person.
Love that person.
You're gonna love that person till you die, whether you want to or believe it or not.
That's
You're
true.
just not in love with that person anymore.
That's right.
So as long as you know you love that person in your subconscious, even if it's not in your prefrontal, but you have to treat that person with a level of respect. I mean,
my thing is, a lot of times people let the negativity fester for so long. By the time they do get a divorce, there's so much resentment toward that spouse. Every time they hear their name, every time they see that person's face, when they see their name pop up on their caller ID, it's just this negativity that comes up.
Trained behavior.
Because you've let so much time pass with this negativity associated with that person. You know, you can't overcome it. Well, you can, but you're just choosing not to, because it's easier to find fault in the other person because it makes you feel better, because you can say, well, the reason we're not together anymore is because of you, without looking in the mirror saying that you are just, a part of this relationship is the other person.
it's a combined effort.
That's
no
right.
matter what your ex-spouse did,
No matter what.
cheated or whatever,
It
it's a
takes-
combined effort. Your
it's
marriage
both.
did not work for both of you guys.
That's
it's
right.
combined effort. Whether they were 90-10 split,
Don't
80-20,
matter.
doesn't matter. It was both of you guys that ruined that marriage.
That's
so
right.
look at yourself in the mirror.
You have to.
You have to. You have to look at yourself in the mirror.
If you're going to be an adult about it, you have a lot of people that they get involved at an early age, and who knows what the circumstances are. But divorce is very serious. I wouldn't. In my opinion, I don't recommend people taking marriage lightly. A lot of times, people just hop in and hop out of a marriage like it's a car transaction. But
What's the average? A year?
oh my God,
People only last for a year before they get divorced?
Yeah.
They do these big elaborate weddings,
They
$30,000,
spend-
$40,000 weddings,
Jesus Christ.
$10,000 on the ring.
Man,
and
you
get
got
divorced in a
small
year.
businesses lasting longer than some relationships,
Correct.
which is ridiculous. You're joining yourself to another human being to coexist, to bring, in some cases, bring children into this world, and then to do what? To rip that apart? Like, man, make better decisions.
A lot of times what you see is that it's a trendy thing.
Yeah.
You dating a guy or girl for a couple years, and you just feel like it's time for you guys to get married, and you really don't know anything about each other. You never stay with each other.
Right.
You will never know what a person is unless you live with that person.
I hear you. Yeah, I definitely agree that you have to know how a person's going to handle certain situations, whether it be conflict, whether it be loss of a job, whether it be finance is a real big issue when it comes to relationships. How a person is, how is your spouse with their money? What's their credit like? Are these people responsible, or are they just whatever comes along? They just, they quick to spend money. And see, when you met this person and he was quick to spend money, it was good because you felt like it was, oh, he cares about me. He takes me out to eat, and we go here and we go here. So he free spending the money. Guess what? He could be irresponsible with his finances, and you thinking that he's living, he big balling, but he could be broke as a joke, living paycheck to paycheck, but he just trying to impress you. But you don't know that until you've married him now. So you put yourself in a situation where you've joined yourself with a person that is not financially literate, and he's not independent enough to even be able to maintain his own situation. And so now you've connected to him, and now you brought your own financial situation down because you weren't aware of that situation.
So, but what if our viewers out there saying, well, we focused on love, we didn't focus on credit scores or prenuptial agreements, or the way that they didn't spend their money correct way. So what do you say to those people?
The first thing I say is, well, what do you love about them? And they never have nothing to say.
Correct.
What do you love about them?
During the headlights.
Because guess what? That's just a nice little thing to say, You know what I mean? Oh, it was about love. Really? Okay, what do you love about it? What do you mean?
Say that again.
Right. You said that
Repeat that question
love. You
one more
said
time.
love was the thing that brought you guys together. Well, what do you love so much about this person? Because every time I see you, you guys are arguing.
That's just transition.
I love her eyes. Well, that's why you got with her because of her eyes.
And had 3 kids.
But now you looking to divorce her. I mean, you don't think. Man, look, love is important. Don't get me wrong. But you got to have more than love to make it. I mean, they say, what's love got to do with it? You know, that movie. But, hey, love is important. But, what if you don't like the person? Because people evolve. People change. People go through transitions. You still have to like the person that you love. So you gotta be able to adapt to the ever-changing growth of that individual and also your own self. And how is that dynamic going to stay together in the midst of that growth and development? Is it sustainable? Is it compatible? It's kind of like, trying to connect a computer was made back in '88 with some equipment that was made in 2018. It doesn't add up, even though they could both be brand new, but just one that was made 20, 30 years ago. So you can't force something to be compatible. If it's not compatible, it's not going to work. It doesn't matter. And you can try and you're going to find yourself resenting that person and unnecessarily, because you have to make tough decisions sometimes. You gotta have peace of mind at some point. If you find yourself staying at work longer because you don't want to go home, or you find yourself going to the bar after work instead of coming home and finding excuses not to go home, it's time to make some changes.
Look in the mirror. Because
you should not have to avoid your spouse in order for you to have peace of mind. That's not living. But you have friends, family members, co-workers that deal with this type of thing every day. You talk to them, you do. Your cousin right now is telling you, man, I do not want to deal with that such. I don't want to have to deal, man. She always this, she always
all in my
that,
face.
all up in there.
Yeah.
She always trying to tell me, no. Hey, dude, you've been dealing with this for 2, 3, 4 years. It's time to make some real serious decisions.
I mean, this topic, we can make several shows on this topic.
Man, we can talk about the show every day until the end.
A lot of the topics we choose in the past few shows have been awesome topics, and there have been general topics. I mean, you can always get specific, real specific, especially with relationships.
Oh,
I mean,
man.
we can talk about case studies, examples,
we can
friends and family, what we did. Yeah.
Each subtopic we can break down and have a whole show
just about
on a subtopic.
So anything you guys need, any advice? I mean, just anything you need. I mean,
anything you guys want us to elaborate on.
Yeah.
We'll be willing to revisit this topic and go into more detail, because we know it's a general and a broad topic, but we wanted to talk about it because we know that this is something that people deal with on a regular basis. And hopefully we shared some insightful and some things that you guys can use to breaking the ice, or just having open and honest communication. And I know a lot of it sounds elementary, but you'll be surprised that a lot of these relationships that you see, they're not honest with each other, trying to put on a front for them in order to try to keep some level of some charade going on, because they like certain benefits of being with said relationship. Because some people are more caught up in looking good for other people. They want to have a trophy wife. They want to have a ball player husband, or significant other. Those things mean more to them than having an authentic relationship. But when that person that you trying to hold on to is disrespecting you and hitting you upside the head, or you have this trophy wife that's messing around with everybody in the whole town and dogging you out in front of all your friends and family, hey man, that's not cute. That's not real.
Remember, common sense is not common practice. That's my motto. I've always said it. Common sense is not common practice.
Yeah.
So I hope this show was helpful with you guys. But we're gonna get into the hustle of the day. We're gonna take a quick break, get into the hustle of the day, and for y'all that don't know, Blacksmith does the hustle of the day, and he shows you on different adventures, different investments, different things to make you money today, not tomorrow. Today. We'll be right back.
Every day I'm hustling. Every day I'm hustling. Hustle of the day.
In this economy, in this world that we in right now, and in most cases, it's not going to cost a lot of upfront money. So you want to try to take advantage of it if it's something that you're interested in. Today we're going to talk about flipping cars. If you don't know, that basically means you're going to take opportunity money that you have to go and purchase a vehicle, and then, if need be, make improvements or improvements to it in order to make it sellable, and then from there sell it to another individual to make more than what you bought it for. But that's basically what we mean by flipping cars. First thing we want to talk about, every state is different, so you want to be aware of any state requirements, licensing requirements, and I suggest that you look into that before you get started. If it's something that you're interested in, be aware. You might have certain regulations, like you can only, like in the state of Texas, you can only sell 4 to 5 cars without a license. So just be aware that there are different requirements and different things in it state by state. First thing we want to talk about is how to find a car. What you want to do, there's different ways to do it. You can do more traditional ways, like go to different resale shops. You might see a guy, or you might see different cars with for sale signs and things of that nature. But most of the time, what people do now is they go online, they go to different sites like Craigslist, OfferUp, Auto Trader, things of that nature. You also want to, once you've located a specific vehicle that you may have interest in, you want to look at Kelley Blue Book in order to get a good number on, or a good amount or value on what the vehicle is worth. This is important because you don't want to overspend for a vehicle that you're looking to invest in, because it's going to directly impact your profit margin when it's time to resell the vehicle. Kelley Blue Book is a resource that you would use in order to look at the trade-in value of a specific vehicle. And that's the number that's most important, because that's what you want to gauge how much, because you can look at the actual year that the vehicle was made, the mileage, the condition of the vehicle, and you put these things together, and it's going to give you a value that you should use in order to know, okay, this is about how much I should be able to spend for the car. So you're going to have, let's say, for example, you come across a 2000 Toyota Corolla, good condition, 150,000 miles, and it said Kelley Blue Book is going to give you, let's say, a value, let's say, of $4,000. And the person that you're trying to purchase the vehicle from, they come at you and say, well, I want a car for $5,000. Well, that lets you know right there that that's a little more, it's on the high side of what this vehicle is saying that it should be worth. So you could, at that point, either negotiate with this particular seller and say, hey, well, look, what I'm willing to offer you is more like $3,000, because you want to always give yourself more cushion on your side versus on the other side. they're going to counter offer you in some cases and say something like, well, let's kind of meet somewhere halfway. Let's shoot for $4,000. Now, what I said was the vehicle was worth $4,000 to begin with. So at that point, you want to always buy at that trade-in value or less. So if the trade-in value in the Kelley Blue Book is saying $4,000 and you can get the car for that amount or less, now you're in a position to where you can take that vehicle, resell it for more than what that amount was for, and that's going to be what's considered your profit margin. Also, what I want you guys to know is don't feel, if you don't feel good about a particular purchase, whether it be, you go on a test drive and something doesn't feel right, you get back to the seller and you ask, hey, is there anything wrong with the car? And you don't feel like they're being completely honest with you. Make sure that you feel totally and completely comfortable with the entire transaction. At any time you don't feel comfortable, then it's okay to walk away from it, because there's going to be other deals out there. I mean, vehicles, people buy and sell cars every day. So make sure that you don't put yourself in a situation where you're going to extend your investment capital to something that you don't feel comfortable with. Next thing we want to talk about is what to do once you've gotten the vehicle. You want to let me go back. When you're starting out in this particular type of business, you want to make sure that you specialize in a certain niche. It's very important that, and sometimes for the most part, people want to focus on a particular brand or name brand, like let's say, for example, like Hondas, Toyotas, Mustangs, things of that nature. But you want to specialize in something so that you can have and acquire a working knowledge of that particular type of vehicle, and you can be confident and people can know you for that type of vehicle. That goes a long way when they say Blacksmith is the Honda guy. He knows Hondas. He might not know nothing about Lincoln Town cars, but if it's Hondas, he's the guy to go to. So you want people to recognize you for having a very elaborate knowledge of a specific niche, and you just want to pick what that is. And it could be anything. For example, some people like to do Hondas because, they have a very good reputation. You have some people that like to do Fords. Hey, it doesn't matter. You just determine which one you like, and make sure that you're aware and working to gain as much knowledge as you can about that vehicle. From there, what we want to talk about is how to, once you've acquired the vehicle, the one thing I'll say is always sell a car the way that you would want to buy one. And that's important because you want your reputation to be pristine. When you sell a vehicle, you would want it the way that if you were buying a car, you would want that car to be that way. So don't ever sell a car to somebody if you wouldn't feel comfortable keeping it for yourself. That's very important. If you're going to be in this type of business, your reputation is everything. And you don't want people to be writing bad reviews about you on your website or on whatever it is that you have, that you market your particular business with. So just keep that in mind. Also, when it comes to selling the vehicles, there's several different ways you can do it. Of course, online is the big thing. They have different websites. You can use eBay. Of course, social media is huge right now, where you can do different ads on Facebook, Instagram, things of that nature. But just thinking outside of the box, if you're going to get in this business, you want to put yourself in a situation where you get real comfortable and familiar with different, or you want to really get a mechanic on your team is really what I want to say. But you want to get to know as many mechanics as you can anyway, but there needs to be a mechanic on your team that it's kind of like your go-to. If you buy a car and you need to get a car put in for repairs, you take it to your guy. He's the one that's fixing your vehicle. In most cases, he's going to give you a discount or work with you in such a way that you can benefit from this particular purchase, because you're going to keep bringing him business. So he's not concerned about making a profit on you. So you're going to establish this relationship with this mechanic so you can keep everything flowing. But what I was going to say was, when it's time to sell that vehicle, in most cases, that mechanic will allow you to keep that car on site. You could put a for sale sign in the vehicle, and the mechanic will let you have your car sit there. And most of the times when people bring their car in for different purchases, different repairs on their particular vehicle, they see your car sitting out there and say, hey man, that car's for sale. It's like, yeah man, that car is for sale. And they'll call you and you'll get an opportunity to sell your car right then and there, just on having that vehicle there on site at the mechanic shop. So that's just thinking outside the box. That's something that I would definitely consider. Another thing, people, they ask, they say, well man, I'm interested in this business, but how much money do I need to start in this particular business? Well, it's gonna vary. My recommendation would be to start out at about $1,000 to $1,500. Now, keep in mind, this is above and beyond your responsibilities, your money that you use to take care of yourself and your family. This is disposable income, things that you can use. But $1,000 to $1,500, you should be able to find a really nice vehicle that you can have and be prepared to, in some cases, even double your initial investment. So if you know anything about investing, if you can double your money, you're doing much better than most of the people that's out here, doing traditional investing. So if you can make $2,000 on $1,000 investment, you're in the game. So, and that's really where you want to start out at. Now, of course, the more you invest in an individual vehicle, then of course you're going to carry that much more risk. But keep in mind, you want to put yourself in situations where it's going to be a win, not only for yourself, but for the person that you're selling the car to. So don't put yourself in more risk than you need to, especially at first. But as you get more and more familiar, as you work this particular business and you get to a point to where you're more comfortable with the idea of buying and selling vehicles, then you can, of course, start increasing the amount that you invest and therefore potentially increase your profit. At this point, we've gone over, just to kind of recap, we talked about licensing requirements. We talked about how to find vehicles, what to do as far as how to evaluate or how to value these vehicles, where to find them to purchase, how to sell them once you've gotten them. Of course, establishing a relationship with different mechanics. And of course, always, when it's time to sell the vehicle, make sure that it is in the condition that you would want to buy a vehicle. At this point, I want to encourage you guys to communicate or contact me directly if you have any questions or concerns about any information that we talked about with the Hustle of the Day. I want to make sure that you have all the information necessary to get you going. If it's something that you feel like I missed, I'll be more than happy to get more specific with you. You can reach me. I'm going to establish a YouTube page to kind of give you guys another resource to reach out to me, and we can talk a little bit more in depth about any of the Hustle of the Days as far as I'm concerned. And I'm going to also link my other social media pages and things of that nature, so you can contact me and get me going. In reference to our particular podcast, if you guys would like, take this down. go to the Air Force Mills Show at yahoo.com, and that way you can get more information about what we're talking about as far as this hustle of the day. And from there, I definitely appreciate you guys taking the time to hear our show, and I hope you guys enjoyed what we talked about today. We got in depth about relationships and things of that nature, and I'm sure we're going to come, revisit this particular topic. But hey, guys, thanks again. Come check us out next week. I'm sure we're going to talk about something very interesting then as well. You guys have a good day, and thanks again for viewing. Bye-bye.